Hi, welcome to the Green Room. This is the first in a series of live chats with me, Laura Short, the owner and assessor for Green at Heart. I'm joined today by my good friend, John Mullen, the energy evangelist. Hi,
Hello.
John.
Hello.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your business is and what your aims are?
Yeah, no problem. I'm John Mullen, the energy evangelist, and I help people reduce their usage of energy. But energy can be electricity, water, gas. It can also be reducing the amount of running around like a blue-arsed fly. So it's just helping people stop wasting time and money in their business.
That sounds great to me, and it really complements the work that we do at Green at Heart as well, because we help to put action plans and processes in place for businesses so that they can do exactly the things that John's talking about, which is great. So working together works really well for both of us. We're just going to have a quick ad that tells you a little bit more about Green at Heart, and then we're going to head straight back to the Green Room. Hi, I'm Laura Short, and I run the Green at Heart Award scheme. This is environmental accreditation for small businesses from all sectors who want to show their customers that they're responsible, proactive, and sustainable. By following a structured approach to achieving a Green at Heart award, you'll be putting in place cost and time-saving measures that'll help you reduce more than just your carbon footprint. Are you passionate about having a sustainable business? Well, in my book, that means still being in business 12 months from now. It's more important than ever to set your business apart from the rest, and customers are expecting you to go that extra mile. So let's grab a coffee and have a chat about how a Green at Heart award can help your business stay open, stay green, and grow. Now, let's head back to the Green Room to chat more about Green at Heart.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Hello.
So, as I said, this is the first in a series of chats. And the first topic for this month is going to be on understanding your environmental impact and what that means for your Green at Heart award, how to implement it, how to understand it, and how to put it together. So we're also going to look at how to set the scope of your Green at Heart award as well, because it's not just necessarily about the premises that you're in. It might be that a lot of your staff work from home, which is especially important at the minute. I know, John, you do a lot of your work from home, don't you?
Oh yes, yeah. This is my kingdom. I'm actually in my son's bedroom. He's away at university, so this is my office.
Exactly, and it's the same for a lot of people, whether you're working from your kitchen table, your son's bedroom, or my tiny cupboard on the landing, which my beautiful husband sorted out for me, so I had a little office of my own to work from. And it's like this for a lot of people at the minute. So whether you're working from home, whether you are still in an office, whether you're in a factory, wherever that might be, the Green at Heart award can work across any type of business, any size, any sector.
Definitely.
So in terms of setting your scope, whether that be an organisational scope, so whether you cover an entire business, you might have multiple sites, you might just have one small office in the middle of a multi-use block of offices. The activities that you cover, so you might just want to set a Green at Heart award for a particular activity that happens within your business, whether it's a department, whether it's a product you produce. It can be as flexible as you need it to be. Obviously, we'd love to cover your entire business, but it's not always appropriate at that time. So the Green at Heart award is fantastic for scalability. You might only have financial control over part of your business or organisational control over part of your business. So, for example, if your delivery fleet is outsourced to another company, you might not have any control over that. So you would exclude it from your award, which is absolutely fine. You pick and choose the elements that you want to put into it.
It may also be that you start to reassess what your suppliers are doing, and
Exactly.
it may end up that you are very happy with the current people that you have because they are maybe in the same and making the changes at the same time as you. So it's actually are so much better whenever you get two companies working together to get a bigger result than just one small company.
Absolutely. Influence over your supply chain is the epitome of having, this sort of scheme in place, because it forces you to look outside of the box and outside of just your own environment and your own organization. And it's certainly something that we look to assess when it comes to the continual improvement part of the award, which is in a few months' time from now. But in terms of what we're going to talk about, but it's certainly a great point to start with in terms of looking at what you're doing, but also what your suppliers are doing as well. It's so important.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to cover 3 areas for this topic: the environmental factors that affect your business, the impact that those factors have, and then the influence that you can have over them. And I know, John, that you've spent some time looking at the environmental factors that affect your business, because you've actually just started on the Green at Heart journey with us, which is fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the sorts of environmental factors that you feel affect you in your business, even though you work from home.
Even down to who I get my electricity from. I currently, I'm trying not to name drop, but I use Octopus Energy because I've got an electric car. I and they do very good packages which are 100% green. But there's many other suppliers at the moment who are also realizing that it's becoming important to people. Uh, and it may be down to even little tiny things like don't leave my charger for the phone switched on 24 hours a day. Uh, Only use it whenever or only have it switched on whenever I'm charging. It's it's just a way of thinking rather than, but it's not something that has to become regimented. It's something that you grow into, because otherwise it just becomes a set of chains. So
Absolutely. It's got to be
it's,
a mindset shift.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. This whole thing, we're not here to create a set of chains. We're here to actually set things free, because there's so many solutions out there which are now helping us to spend less money. On the electricity service that I have, I get reduced prices. It's roughly a third between 12:30 and 4:30 in the morning. So, guess whenever I charge the car, when I switch on or put the timer on for the dishwasher or for the washing machine, why should spend lots more money whenever it can be a third of the price?
Absolutely. Yeah. It is just about having that mindset shift, thinking about the everyday things that we do and how can we make them a little bit better for the environment, better for our pockets, and better for our bottom line, essentially. Um, and I think as well with the Green at Heart Award, and anybody thinking about implementing an environmental system within their business, you don't just have to make it about the environment. A lot of the things that I encourage my clients to think about are the socio-economic aspects as well, because obviously we employ staff, so we have to think about the social element. We've got to think about the economy because we're in business. Why would you not think about that? And I encourage my clients to add those elements into their action plan, because that's essentially what we're putting together. It's an action plan for reducing your running costs and your resource use. Yes, it's a bit more sophisticated than just jotting things down on the back of a napkin, but it does the same job. It helps put in place systems and processes that don't need to be onerous, but it does become about day-to-day change.
Yeah.
And then I also encourage clients to think not just about their local area, although that is fundamentally important. It's about thinking of the wider picture, the global impacts. So not only If you use oil in your business, where does that oil come from? Is it palm oil? Is it sustainably sourced? And what impact does that necessarily have on the global scale? If you're buying paper, do you know where it's coming from? Is it FSC registered? I know that's something that you're passionate about, John, in terms of the
Yeah.
things that you buy in as well.
Yeah, it's down to, where do you get your ink from? Where's your paper coming from? Do you need to be printing reams and reams and reams of stuff whenever it's actually just sitting there on your computer? Uh, I've I actually run my whole business on Google Mail or Gmail, specifically because they have their energy usage for their processing centers is as close to 100% as possible. Uh, but it also gives me multiple backups for my data. So there's a lot more resilience. I've got the information on my PC, I've got it on a service somewhere in the cloud, and it's it's just knowing what you can do and finding out. Sometimes it's the easiest solutions, and sometimes there's a little bit of complexity, but the easier it is, the usually the more resilient it is.
Yeah, that's a great point. I remember for one of my hotel clients, I made a suggestion as a small change in their bedrooms. It cost them nothing to implement, and it actually saved them quite a lot of money in laundry costs. It was something they'd never thought of before, something they possibly wouldn't have thought about if I hadn't suggested it to them. And it wasn't anything sophisticated, it was just a small change, but actually it saved them thousands in laundry costs. And they love it. They're always going to continue doing it that way.
Yeah, and that goes straight back into your profit. That
Yeah,
may be that one small change may be the thing which helps you break even. And
yeah,
that's, if we don't focus on helping people to break even and to make more profits, actually, this green revolution, this sustainable revolution, is probably never going to happen. It's unless it's focused on their pocket.
yeah. Because we need businesses to work with, so we
Yes,
need them to stay in business.
yes, yeah.
Um, so moving on to the next area under this topic, it's actually looking at the impact that those environmental factors have on your business. And I would say, from my point of view, you might have a different perspective, John, but I put that down to two things. It costs you more money. It makes you look bad. If you're not actually following a sustainable business model, you don't look good to your customers. If you're using palm oil from unsustainable sources, if you're getting paper from unsustainable forestry, it makes you look bad. If your customers, which a lot do now, are keen enough to look into where you get your supplies from, and you don't have anything to say where they come from or the causes that you support, it's not a good PR perspective to have. Um, that's my opinion on the impacts that it can have, as well as the fact that it does cost you more money. It's fundamentally important to save money now and put it back into your business.
Yeah, I was really surprised. This is a really blunt reality. I was with friends over in France, south of Paris. It was in a farming area, and it was really, really nice. And then my friend said, the ground in the fields out there is nearly dead because they've been pouring so much fertilizer into the ground to get increased yields. So there's hardly any worms in the ground to do their work. And they have found that the farmers who are being successful are actually the ones who are going towards the organic, because it takes a number of years to get there, but they have to aim to make small changes now for the future so that they don't have to buy as much chemical fertilizer, which means they've got more money to run their business, but it also means that their ground is going to be more productive. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And this again comes back to that thing about local and global. You know, we've got to think about, and I don't want to preach to anybody, but we do have to think about the global impacts of climate change, and not just about 20 years from now when the ice caps have melted or whatever. We've got to think about how it affects us now, and what small changes can we make that accumulate over time to make a bigger change in the future. Because if we don't have a business, then we're not going to be earning any money going forward.
yeah.
So looking at those impacts, it's clear to see that it's going to have a detrimental effect on your business if you don't examine the environment around you. Well, let's look at the influence that you can actually have on those environmental factors, and what can we do to change that. Now, we're not talking about trying to save the world. We are just talking about trying to save your business. But there are things that constrain how much influence we can have. If, for example, you don't own your building, you just rent it, your landlord might not be as keen for you to make those sorts of changes. You might not be able to make infrastructural changes to the design of your building, for example. You might not be able to put solar panels on the roof, even though you might want them. So there's lots of different things that can constrain what you can do, but it's about being innovative and thinking about what you can do with what you've got. And I know working from home, you've obviously got a high level of influence, John, but what small changes have you made to make sure that you're having as much influence as you can on those environmental impacts?
Well, even simply just for comfort levels, instead of heating the whole house, you could have an electric heater in the room that you have your office. And it could be little things like they say that if you reduce your temperature by 1 degree, you actually save 10% of your energy. Simple little things like that, stopping drafts. Sometimes your windows may not be fitting as good as they are. I've got double glazed windows, but if I run my hand around the edges of the opening windows, I know that because they're older windows, they're not quite fitting properly. And that's just a bit of maintenance, whether it be the seals or whether it be the frame. There's all sorts of little things. Stopping drafts underneath your doors.
Yeah,
So,
it really is just the small changes that add up to a big difference. So we've looked today at how you can actually understand what your environmental impact is, how you can influence it, how you can set your scope for the award that you're going to go for. And that is the first point that you would actually cover under the Green at Heart Award. I know you've already covered that, John, but for any new clients out there who want to look at this award, that is where we would begin. We begin looking at what you can actually do and what's affecting your business right now. And it doesn't have to just be environmental. As I said before, I'm quite happy for people to include the socio-economic changes that might need to take place as well, even some health and safety. But I do have a great guy that covers that for me, so I don't need to cover that myself. So we're going to wrap up today, but I would like to announce that next month's topic is going to be an environmental impact register, how to actually put it together, what elements you need to put in there, and how that informs the basis for your Green at Heart Award. So I'd really like to thank John Mullen, the Energy Evangelist, for joining me today. He'll be joining me next month as well for our next topic, and I'll also be joining him for his next Evangelist Talks. So that's going to be coming out next month in December, but this talk is going to go out today in November. Check it out. Thanks.